Okay, so are we actually up yet? Let's see, set my phone over there. It says waiting on. But here he is. All right, and make sure the camera's working. Okay, so here we go with a Star Wars figure unboxing, and this is Darth Vader, the extraterrestrial from the planet Vulcan. And oh wait, I'm sorry, I'm a little mixed up. This is Marty McFly from Back to the Future, the Tales from Space edition in his hazmat suit. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Marty disguises himself as Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan to threaten George that if he doesn't go and ask Lorraine to the dance, he'll melt his brain. Let's keep all that brain melting stuff to ourselves, huh, George? Bobby Wald is here, and he says, what was the name of George McFly's novel? I believe that was a Match Made in Space. Was that the name of that one? I'm pretty sure it was. Let me look it up. I believe it was a Match Made in Space. Match Made in Space. Yep, George McFly. And it's got that lovely cover to it, and it's got Darth Vader on the cover. Though I suspect he changed the name after that other Darth Vader became famous. I kind of wonder if maybe George suspected that the other George was visited by the same alien, but we know that's not the case. We know that George Lucas actually got the story of Star Wars from R2-D2, who came to Earth in like ancient Egyptian times and was sculpted onto the walls of the Well of the Souls in the hieroglyphics, and lived. R2-D2 was still functional on into the 1970s when he ran into George Lucas and told him the story of Star Wars. It all fits together, folks. I'm telling you, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, E.T., they're all in the same universe. It all works. That's why when E.T. sees Yoda, he says, home, home, because he recognized Yoda from the Star Wars universe. So, yeah, that's how that works. Anyway, so yeah, I got an excellent likeness of Marty McFly, Michael J. Fox, Alex P. Keaton, and his DeLorean. We're gonna have a lot of fun with this one. Got see the picture here. Obviously, is supposed to be an homage to the Darth Vader scene. He's got the Walkman and the hair dryer. Now in that scene, he had the hair dryer tucked into his belt, like like it was a holster or something. But it doesn't look like you're going to be able to do it with this one, which is why he's got it holding the hair dryer in his hand. Hair dryers? Don't they have towels in the future? Bobby Wald says R2 also popped up in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yes, that's the other one. Close Encounters is part of that universe too, because you can see the R2 unit outside of the mothership doing maintenance. So yeah, they all fit together. So yeah, a lot of cool accessories with this one. It looks like there's lots of display options as far as the hood of the hazmat suit and the helmet and all this kind of stuff. We're gonna have some fun. Got the DeLorean over here on this side. You can see I got this at Ross for $19.99, so you can probably still find that there. And then the artwork here with Darth Vader hypnotizing these ladies, and his spaceship over there. So this was the comic book that the kid had when Marty crashed at the farm where the guy was breeding pine trees, and the kid had the comic book, so he showed it to his dad to prove to him this is an alien. You gotta shoot him. And you can see it's Back to the Future 35th anniversary. So this is an older figure. This is one I found. Like I said, I found it at Ross. I think Neca was like cleaning out a warehouse or something, which is why you see a lot of good deals. Like Walmart, like I said, had a lot of Neca stuff, and Ross had a lot of Neca stuff. So Bobby Wald says R2-D2 is the most foul-mouthed droid of all times. They had to bleep out everything he said. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, Back to the Future, obviously one of my favorite movies of all time. I like all three of them. I think that they're like probably the best overall film trilogy. Like Lord of the Rings, maybe. Back to the Future, maybe. But I think those are the ones where like all the movies are solid. Rogue Hunt says, "Shut up." No, I won't shut up. Why would I shut up? This is my YouTube channel. This is where I come to talk about action figures. So, I mean, if you don't want to hear me talk about action figures, like, you don't have to watch the video, dude. It's okay. You'll find another one to watch. It's fine. So yeah, but yeah, it says 35th anniversary. Like I said, this is an older figure. This year is actually the 40th anniversary of Back to the Future, because it's 2025. Can you believe that movie's 40 years old? It's crazy. Like, I remember when it first came out. But yeah, like also today is October 20th. Tomorrow will be October 21st, and that's actually Back to the Future Day, because that's the day that Marty and Doc and Jennifer arrive in 2015. So that's the day that usually is celebrated as Back to the Future Day. I'm guessing because when the internet was a thing in 2015, like, people got excited about it then. Oh, the day's coming up when Marty McFly and Doc Brown and Jennifer are going to show up. They're going to show up in a couple of days on the 20th. So I guess that's the reason why, rather than say like the 25th or the November 5th. By the way, November 5th is when I'm going to be opening up the Doc Brown figure that I have, that I got at Walmart, because like I said, Walmart had a lot of cool NECA stuff. So yeah, let's have a look at the back. And it says, Ultimate Marty McFly, Tales from Space. Marty McFly and Doc Brown experience the adventure of a lifetime in an unlikely time machine as they travel the past, present, and future, setting off time-shattering chain reaction that disrupts the space-time continuum. And then you got across the artwork the regular Marty McFly, Darth Vader, Marty McFly in 2015 disguises his own son, and Biff Tannen. And there's more figures that aren't shown here on the back, because like I said, this is one of the earlier ones. Actually, if we look at Doc Brown real quick, so there's a couple of other ones on here. You can see they got the 1955 version of Doc and Griff Tannen, but I haven't seen them do any figures from Back to the Future 3 yet. Like Clint Eastwood and Mad Dog Tannen. I'd like to have some of those. I really like Back to the Future 3. I'm the one person that thinks Back to the Future 3, I like that one better than Back to the Future 2. And Back to the Future 2, like I said, it's a solid movie, but like, I kind of feel like it doesn't work as well as its own movie as the other two do. The other two are kind of like, they're kind of more stories that work on their own. Obviously, they're both part of the bigger story, but I kind of feel like Back to the Future 2 is just the stuff that happens in between the first two. And everybody loves the 2015 parts of the movie, and everybody loves the kind of dark Hill Valley when Biff rules everything. Like that's so here's the inside of the box, and it looks like the old barn. So it's really dark, and you can barely make anything out, but it's supposed to be the old barn. Bobby Wall says, everyone's going to remember the name of Clint Eastwood and think Yellow Belly. I had to do the Pat Buttram voice. Pat Buttram. They had a really good cast in that one with all the actors from old Western movies. And if you watch a bunch of old Western movies, you recognize a lot of these actors. It's really cool. So let's have a look at some of these accessories here. And first of all, we have the Walkman. I want to be like really, really delicate with this. Rogue Hunt says hi. Hi right back. So yeah, and honestly, a lot of these parts are out of scale for a Walkman, because if they made it like properly to scale, it'd just be way too delicate, because you'd have like the metal part at the top, and the wire would be like really, really thin. So they made the wire, I would say, probably about 4 times as thick as it would be proportionally. Why are you laughing? I laugh at stuff that's funny. But yeah, there's the Walkman itself, and you can see it's got like some good paint detail to it. And of course, the cassette that's in there is Edward Van Halen playing the guitar. And it's not actually stuff from the band Van Halen, because they couldn't get the rights to that. So what they had the rights to was a soundtrack that Edward Van Halen had composed for another movie, which I forget the title of it. But yeah, that's what that is. So, and I believe that Eddie Van Halen did Marty McFly's guitar parts in the actual movie. So here is the hairdryer, which, of course, anybody who's seen the deleted scenes of Back to the Future knows that this is Doc Brown's hairdryer that he was bringing with him on his trip. And when the 1955 Doc Brown sees it, that's when he's like, hairdryers? Don't they have towels in the future? But it's a good thing he had it, because then Marty could pretend like it was his blaster, laser gun, whatever you want to call that, when he was in his Darth Vader disguise. And then we got like a whole lot of pieces of hood, pieces of mask, various things. Like you can see where that's going to fit onto the hard hat there. Rogue Haunts asked, do you have a 2009 figure? I got lots of 2009 figures. I've got action figures from pretty much every single year. So I think 2009 was when I was really into DC Universe Classics and Masters of the Universe Classics. And, you know, if Mattel had a line called Classics, I was picking them up. So there's Marty's head without the helmet, and he's got this perplexed look on his face, which makes sense because pretty much all through the scene where he crashes into the barn, he's just got this kind of perplexed, panicked look on his face. And you can see the one in the package has the hard hat on, but it's still pretty much the same expression. And then this other hood with plastic piece in there. So there's going to be all kinds of ways that we can display this, I think. I'm just going to have to figure them all out. This one almost looks more like it's the hood that's supposed to be kind of like hanging down his back. You see that? We'll figure all that out. Is this piece solid on there? Yeah. And then there's all these pieces with snaps and things on them, like the covers the lower part of the face. So, all right. So there shouldn't there be a faceplate for this guy? Yeah, it's on the helmet. All right, cool. And he's held in with twist ties. Now I know it's an older figure. I don't remember the last time I saw twist ties. Bobby Wald says the head looks nothing like Eric Stoltz. Yeah, that's because it's not from the Flash timeline. So for those of you who don't know, Eric Stoltz was going to be the original actor to play Marty McFly. They wanted Alex Keaton from the beginning, you know, Michael J. Fox, but he couldn't get out of doing Family Ties. So they tried to do it with Eric Stoltz, and it just wasn't working. And like, I don't think anybody's going to argue with me when I say that Eric Stoltz is a very talented actor. But it's one of those things where, like, it just wasn't what they were going for. He had a completely different perspective on the character, and they weren't getting the right tone out of the performance that they wanted for the movie. So they wound up working out a deal with the producers of Family Ties, and they were able to get Michael J. Fox, who worked nights while he shot Family Ties during the day. It was a very, very exhausting time for the young actor, but it was worth it because he made like one of the best movies ever made, you know. And now I have an action figure of him, so I would like to get the kind of, like, I guess, basic Marty You know, the one where he's wearing his jeans and his life preserver. But still, this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie here with the the Darth Vader from the planet Vulcan. I always loved that scene. So I'm happy to have this particular version of Marty. Like oddly enough, like I saw the first figure and I'm like, oh yeah, that's nice. That's a cool Back to the Future figure. But this is actually the one that I saw where I'm like, yeah, I gotta have Darth Vader. So here he is. You can see the hard hat with the faceplate over it. Faceplate will flip down, and then we can take the hood and put that over the helmet and the faceplate, and it kind of fits right over it. It should fit right over it. Let's see. I think this piece actually kind of goes underneath like that, and then we've got the lower portion of it, and that kind of fits onto the faceplate. And once we have all that put together, silence, Earthling! Bobby Wald says, with the faceplate down, it looks a lot like Dark Helmet. You know, I kind of wonder, maybe that was one of the things that, maybe that did kind of inspire Mel Brooks a little bit when he was doing Spaceballs. Because he does have the round sort of breather on there, which, of course, Dark Helmet had the round breather, which was, you know, actually like the drain of a shower. But but there he is, all hazmat suited up. And then we can have a look at some of these other parts. So let's go ahead and we'll take the face mask part of it off and take that off. And then this part, like I said, you can see where the hard hat is kind of sculpted into it. So this part is supposed to kind of clamp on the back here, I think. And it's not quite, I'm not quite getting it on here right. I think maybe the faceplate is supposed to help hold it on. But there he is with the hood completely off and the faceplate flipped up. Still looking all panicked and everything. And then I'm not sure what this part is how this part is supposed to work here. I'm not sure what that's for. But it looks like it goes on the faceplate, and it's probably supposed to be like where it's I'm looking at this. I think I know what it is. So so I think this is supposed to go onto the faceplate when he's got everything flipped up. And then you can still have that bit of a mask hanging down from the faceplate. There we go. I got it figured out. That's how that works. All right. So I think that's everything that you can do with the hard hat head. So let's go ahead and pop that one off. And I want to be careful about it because I don't want to break off the faceplate because it is just clear plastic. It's going to be kind of delicate. I'm not sure if it's removable or not, but it appears that it is. You just kind of gently pull the pegs out of the holes, and voila, you can take the faceplate off. And that way you can be a little more rough when you pull the helmet off. You don't have to be delicate with it like I was. So let's go ahead and we'll put the unhelmeted head of Marty on there. And I think if you got the other Marty McFly figures, like those would be kind of like a little more have some more neutral type expressions on them. Like you can see on the cross-sell artwork there, that's a little more of a neutral expression. So you don't necessarily have to have a panicked Marty McFly. You just have to get some of the other figures. But he's going to be panicked in this scene because this is supposed to be the scene where like he arrives at the barn. And I'm pretty sure that was the main scene they were thinking about. Man, this head is just being a real pain getting on there. It's stuck to my palm. It stuck to my palm more than it stuck to the actual neck stump that you're supposed to be popping it onto. Weird. So it might behoove you, if you're doing this at home, to use like a hair dryer or something, and not this hair dryer because it's just a piece of plastic, like an actual hair dryer because we don't have towels in the future. Soften up the plastic a little bit, pop his head on. I think I got it on well enough for this to work, but I think it feels like it still should go on it hasn't popped. You know, like when you pop a head on and it actually pops. So I don't know if it's on there all the way, but yeah, there it is. There's the unhelmeted head, and then like I said, you've got this other piece, and you see it's got this little hook on there. So you kind of hook that underneath his the collar of the hazmat suit. Come on, and it's really soft plastic, so it's giving me a little bit of a hard time. But then you can have Marty with the helmet and the hood all the way off. So that's how all those pieces fit together. And it's pretty clever how Neca found ways to make it so that you can have all these different display options and have Marty at various points in the movie with various looks, all different looks from the hazmat suit. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the articulation, which is going to be kind of a little bit tricky with the head because I'm pretty sure I still don't have the head on all the way. But Marty can look up about that far. He can look down about that far. Should be able to tilt his head quizzically from side to side, but I popped his head off again. Yeah, you're definitely going to heat that up with a hairdryer. Rotate the head all the way around, which I'm pressing down on while I rotate it because I don't want it to come off. Of course, the arms rotate all the way around at the shoulders. I should point out that Marty's hazmat suit, it's a very soft plastic, a kind of rubbery plastic, which makes sense because it's supposed to be a baggy, loose-fitting outfit. So that way you can, there doesn't seem to be any kind of torso articulation. I mean, there is some underneath this thing, but it's pretty much useless because, like, you can't really move it around too much with that rubber jacket on, smock, whatever you want to call it. Marty's arms raise up to the sides about that far. He does have what appears to be kind of a bicep cut, but it's more like a double elbow thing. This is kind of the same thing they did with the Mummy, where you can see there's like there's an elbow rotation right here and an elbow rotation right there, and it is a double hinged elbow, so that's about the range of motion you get at the elbow. And both of those pieces should rotate all the way around, although the forearm seems like it's a little bit of an angle. Then the wrist rotates all the way around, and there's a horizontal hinge on it. Mine seems a little gummy, probably because of the paint, but you can see that the wrist moves back and forth. By the way, unusually for a Neca figure, not something I'm used to on a Neca figure, this guy doesn't come with any extra hands. And I'm used to having a lot of extra hands with like the Neca Ultimate figures, but I guess they figured with all these pieces of the hood, you're already getting a ton of accessories, so they got to cut it back somewhere, and it just so happens that that's where it's going to get cut back. But this hand has a trigger finger on it, so obviously this is the hand that's intended to hold the hairdryer, and this hand is intended to hold the Walkman. We'll get back to that in a second because we haven't really seen him with the accessories yet. I've been too focused on that helmet. So Marty McFly can do the splits no problem. He can kick up about that far, kick backwards about that far. This is pretty good articulation for such a bulky figure in this bulky hazmat suit. And then he's got a single joint of articulation at the knee, bends in about that far, and then that rotates all the way around. This joint is very stiff, very, very stiff, but it does move, so that's good. And the ankle joints are like really stiff, and I haven't really been able to get them into quite the pose that I want to, but they rotate all around at the ankle like a boot cut. And you can hear the stiffness of that. Bobby Wald says, what happened with Crispin Glover? He didn't believe in sequels. Yeah, and like also from what I understand, he didn't really like the what he felt like was the message of the movie at the end, where he felt like it was showing that the family was happy now because they had material wealth. And I can see why you might think that, but I kind of feel like that the family was happy at the end because the dad had confidence. The dad had George had found his confidence because of Marty, and because Marty had given him the good advice and everything, and then because of that, George wound up finally standing up to Biff, which he'd never done before. And I think it's the reverse of what Crispin Glover thought it was. Crispin Glover thought that success had brought them happiness, but I think that happiness had brought them success, because I think it's because George now had his confidence, he was able to be a much more successful guy. So I kind of look at it as being the reverse of how Crispin Glover saw it. That's just the way that I've always interpreted it since I was a kid. Is that since he remember earlier in the movie, he wasn't good at confrontation, and he didn't want to show people his science fiction stories because he was afraid of being rejected, which again reflected Marty's fear of going forward with his music because he was afraid of being rejected. And when George is telling Marty all this, he's like, I suppose that sounds kind of weird to a guy like you. And Marty's like, no, it really doesn't at all. And, so he kind of figured out that he had a little more in common with his dad than he thought. And, George was a little bit of a nerd, even by 1950s standards. And Marty, at least on the surface, he seems like a pretty cool dude, but he still had a lot of that same sort of insecurity that George had. So it's kind of funny. He really was a lot more his father's son than he thought, or even that we in the audience would have really thought at first. But yeah, they both Mcflies is what I'm saying. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna put See, the hard hat helmet just pops right back on there, and I'm pretty sure that's because it's the one that was on there in the box. So the holes all nice and stretched out. Not even remotely what I meant. Don't go there. Don't go there. You know what I mean. But yeah, Bobby Wald says he wasn't good at anything. He couldn't even bird watch without falling out of a tree. Yeah. Well, we know what kind of bird he was really looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and put him back into the full Darth Vader look because I want to have that ready for when we shoot the thumbnail. I'm going to do that. And I want to have him with the hairdryer and the Walkman. So we're going to put the hard hat head back on him, and then we're going to put the faceplate back on him and this little mask part that hangs down. There we go. And then the hood, fit that over. But yeah, I figured George, he'd been working on his novel all this time, and in 1977, he hears there's this new sci-fi movie that came out, and we all know George loves sci-fi, and he goes to see it, and he realizes the villain's name is Darth Vader, and oh my God, George Lucas must have been visited by the same alien. I guess I'll call my guy something else in my story. But yeah, the Walkman, you can see it fits in that hand just nicely. He's a peeping Tom. Man, Back to the Future, such a great movie. I watched it fairly recently, around the time that I actually picked this figure up. And I knew I was going to save him for closer to Back to the Future Day. I was hoping I could actually open it up on the 21st, but tomorrow I'm going to be getting off work at 7 o'clock in the morning. So, and then I'm probably going to want to sleep because I'm going to be exhausted once I do that. So, so I figured today was probably a good day to do this. So anybody who wanted to actually see this on the 21st can watch it. I'd rather do it too early than too late. You know what I mean? So, and if they'd made a Crispin Glover figure, we could have taken these headphones and put it onto George and had Darth Vader melting his brain. One thing that I think would have been nice on this, and I don't see a way to do it, is if maybe they'd given us a little bit of space in the back of the belt so we could fit the plug in for the hairdryer, because I kind of figure that's what Marty would have done with that. He would have tucked it in somewhere so it looked like it was plugged into his suit. But there he is in full Darth Vader regalia. That's how I'm going to do with the thumbnail. So I really like this figure. I thought he turned out really cool. And like I said, if I'm only going to have one Back to the Future figure, I would be glad it would be this one. But I'm going to try to get some more later on anyway. I know the basic Marty figure, the Life Preserver one, that one's kind of expensive now. So I'm going to have to pay a little bit more for that one. But still, I don't think it's unreasonable. It's just like not cheap. You know what I mean? And Doc Brown will be the next one from Back to the Future that I open. And that's going to be on November 5th, because that's the day that that time travel was invented. That's the day that Doc Brown came up with the flux capacitor. And I got to say, I don't see a camcorder in this set anywhere. And there wasn't a camcorder with Marty. So I'm kind of disappointed that neither one of them comes with a camcorder, because then I could have more properly done the scene where Doc's planning on going back in time and the Libyans show up. But I'm excited about this guy. When I saw Marty, I picked him up and I thought that might be the only Back to the Future figure I ever get. But then I saw this guy at Walmart and I'm like, well, they're going to go good together because the hazmat versions. So even if I only have two Back to the Future figures, those are pretty good too to have. Sean Franklin is here and he says hi. And he asks, are you ready for Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas? Well, Sean, I'm always ready for Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and I've been doing Halloween stuff all month, you might have noticed. So I'm very excited about Halloween. Thanksgiving, obviously, I'm a guy who loves Thanksgiving. So very much looking forward to Thanksgiving. And Christmas, they call it the most wonderful time of the year for a reason, don't they? So yeah, absolutely. I am ready for all three of those. I love the holiday season. And for me, it always starts with Halloween and it ends with New Year's Day. And, it's a good time to spend with your family. You got your fun traditions, and it's a lot of good, fun stuff that's crammed into that little 3-month period there, that little 3-month window when I'm getting ready for Halloween, I'm getting ready for Thanksgiving, I'm getting ready for Christmas. And then it's kind of sad when you have to take the tree out to the curb at the end because it's all over. But, don't worry, it's going to come back around. So you get used to that. But, it's the circle of life, man. That tree's got to go up to the corner. It's got to make way for another tree next year. So yeah, I'm super psyched. I've been really feeling the Halloween spirit this year. That's not. Last year was kind of weird for me, so it wasn't quite as into the Halloween thing, but I was still into the Halloween. I still watched some monster movies and things like that. And I've been watching lots of, yesterday when I went over to visit my mother, we watched the original 1931 Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. And man, those are some great movies. I like to watch those. I'll watch those any time of year, but especially around Halloween, I like to watch the Universal monster movies. Those are some of my favorites to watch. I still need to watch the Monster Squad because I haven't watched the Monster Squad yet this year. And, there's still a few more of the Universal movies that I really need to watch. I haven't watched Dracula yet. And I want to watch Son of Frankenstein. I love Son of Frankenstein. But yeah, I did watch the first two Frankensteins, and I watched The Wolfman, and I watched Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I watched the original, the 1933 Mummy. So that's most of my Universal monsters that I've seen this year, but I haven't seen Dracula yet this year. So maybe I'll do that tonight. Who knows? Sean Franklin asked, do you think Back to the Future 4 or a TV show? I don't think that Back to the Future 4 is likely to happen at all. because obviously Michael J. Fox, he's got the Parkinson's disease, and he's retired from acting. He does a lot of good work raising awareness and raising money for Parkinson's disease. So good on him for that. Like, that dude became a hero in real life for doing all that. So and the rest of the cast, they're all getting into their golden years. And Christopher Lloyd is still out there doing stuff. Like, he was just in Wednesday, and it's great to see them out doing stuff. But I kind of feel like if they were ever going to do a fourth Back to the Future, like, that time has passed. And I kind of hope that nobody ever tries to do a remake or anything. I'm fine with just having the 3 movies that we had, and I think that it's pretty much a perfect series of 3 movies. And I kind of worry if you went back and revisited it just wouldn't really bring anything new to the table. And we're probably better off leaving well enough alone. We've got 3 great movies, and that's good to have. A TV show might be interesting, but like, if I was gonna do a TV show of Back to the Future, it would be like a completely different thing. Like, I would have completely different characters. I'd seen somebody, I forget what actor they'd suggested, but I'd seen where somebody had done a thing on some Facebook or something, made a post about it saying, and they had an actor picked out to play Doc Brown's son, and that he still has the train and he's going around doing stuff. So something like that might be interesting. But I kind of feel like I kind of have my own ideas as to what happens with Marty and Jennifer and George and Lorraine, and what Doc and his family are up to. So yeah, like, I kind of feel like the best Back to the Future 4 is what exists in your mind. And God, what was it that Doc said at the end of the 3rd one? I'm gonna look it up. Doc Brown last speech. Yeah, here we go. I'll read that in a second. Bobby Wald says, probably hard to do another Back to the Future since their predictions for 2015 were all off. Well, what do you expect, man? Like, that timeline is gonna obviously be toast. Rogue Hunt says, I'm back, so welcome back. Good to see you. But yeah, think about it. Like, they went into the future and saw that 2015, and then they came back to 1985, but because Biff went back to his 1955, so the timeline is all screwed up. So the reason that we're living in the 2015 that we're living in now is because this is what happened after they fixed the timeline. At least they fixed 1985, but it still wasn't quite 100% fixed. So that's why we still don't have hoverboards, and why it's not quite what we saw in that movie. So that's what happens. Rogue Hunt says, they always tell me when 2010 did change, they go off has a price of a book 10 years. Yeah, see, like, the timeline's just kind of messed up. So it makes sense that it's a different timeline, right? Bobby Walt says, I never once passed a movie theater with Jaws 3D coming at me. Like I said, because the timeline's messed up. So they don't have holograms in the movie theater, and nobody was dumb enough to make a 5th Jaws movie. Like, they were smart enough in our timeline to leave well enough alone after Jaws: The Revenge. All right, so going back to this is going to be a good way to end this video because I'm about done. When Jennifer asks what the blank sheet of paper means, Doc says, it means your future hasn't been written yet. No one's has. Your future is whatever you make it. So make it a good one. And I can't think of a better way to leave off this video. Make your future a good one, because it starts today. It starts right now. So go out there and have a lot of, I got 2018. I got figures from like years. Like, this channel started doing unboxing in 2020 because I started with Masters of the Universe Origins, but I've got Masters of the Universe Classics. I've got DC. I got Marvel Legends. I got all kinds of stuff. So, but the channel starts in 2020. So, anyway, that's it for Darth Vader, the extraterrestrial from the planet Vulcan, Marty McFly, Alex P. Keaton in the DeLorean. Man, I got to get caught up on Stranger Things. But really great figure. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'm going to go take a picture of the thumbnail real quick. And that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure that you like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Marty McFly and Back to the Future and this particular figure. And what are some other figures from Neca that you enjoy? Let me know in the comments below. I always like getting comments. YouTube likes it when I say like and subscribe, so I like to say like and subscribe. Anytime I say like and subscribe, it seems like it boosts my views and my likes and my subscribes. And they say that like when you say like and subscribe, it just automatically in the algorithm does all that. And I don't know how true that is. I don't know how factual that is. But it doesn't hurt for me to do it, does it? So I do it anyway. But yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment, all that fun stuff. Next episode, I will be back with another trip into Halloween with more of something creepy. But I haven't decided exactly what yet. Actually, you know what? I do have an idea. I think I know what I'm going to do next. And he's over here. And he's underneath all this. Yeah, this was the one I wanted to do next. Because I already had teased this one earlier. Skelra! Yeah, this is going to be a fun episode. So that's going to be our next episode. We're going to open up Skelra and talk a little bit about the history of Skeletor and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's it for Marty McFly. Hope you enjoyed the video. We will talk to you next time. Bye. In stream.